Okay, welcome everyone to this Canvas session on organizational tools. Um, as always, we'll try and keep these sessions to in and around 30 minutes. If you have any questions, please do feel free to ask them in the Q&A within Zoom, or if you're joining us on your YouTube through the chat box there, and I'll try and keep an eye on it and answer as many as I can. If I don't get to your question today in this session, you can always email us at tel.team@cit.ie. Okay, so in this session, what I'm going to have a look at is a few different organization features in Canvas modules. So the first one is looking at how to organize your time using what's called a Canvas scheduler, which is part of the calendar tool within Canvas. The other thing I want to look at is how to maybe gather feedback through polls or surveys that you can set for your students. So, some of you might be aware if you're using Zoom that you can create polls in Zoom itself. But you might want to create a survey or a poll for your students that you leave open for a few days or something like that, that maybe you have them provide feedback on something that you've delivered or something that you've uploaded to Canvas, and then you can discuss whatever feedback that you gather at a later stage. The last thing I want to cover is how to create groups in Canvas, and we'll look at the sort of the homepage or the collaborative space that's created for each of these groups in Canvas. So each of the elements there themselves, particularly the surveys and the groups, there's sort of a lot to them, but we're going to just focus on a couple of bits of them today, and I'll be able to guide you to further information afterwards. In terms of the Canvas scheduler, we have had a number of queries from staff who are, quite used to using Zoom at this stage now for their classes, but are considering maybe how to set up a Zoom session for one student or for a group of students. So this is guaranteed to come up a bit more during the semester. While it is possible to just send a Zoom link to a student through your Canvas inbox or something like that, or else you can set a link during the announcements or bits and pieces like that. What we're looking at today is a different scenario. It's I suppose creating a window of time where you can maybe discuss things with your students. So one way that this might be handy is if you wanted to deliver one-on-one sessions. So maybe if you're trying to give feedback to your students on particular things, if you have student presentations or anything, if you want to create office hours, so you kind of set up appointments for your students, all of this really just trying to help you organize your time a little bit better, particularly when we're working remotely now, and communication and everything like that is so important. This will hopefully help you have a look at that. The other thing then is with polls and surveys, what we're looking at here is using Canvas Classic quizzes to basically create an ungraded quiz or a survey in that sense. So polls here would be just a matter of changing the question type that you're gathering from your students. And so working with the features that are there in Canvas itself, like the quizzes, to try and get a little bit more out of it and maybe use it for feedback. One thing I want to point out here as well, though, is that there is actually an app called Polls for Canvas. So this is available in for iOS and Android. And this is something that might be useful for staff who might be using mobile devices quite a bit, or if a lot of your students are using the Canvas student app. So it's worth having a look at there as well. I won't go through it today in this session, but it is available for use as well. Finally, in Canvas groups, we're looking at the idea of maybe organizing your students into multiple groups per module. So for instance, if you have particular project groups that you want to organize your students into, or maybe you have groups for labs or anything, how you can maybe manage that within your Canvas module. We'll look at the group homepage for collaboration and communication amongst the students. And we'll talk a little bit about creating group assessments or group appointments. So that'll all be part of the initial thing we're looking at here, which is the Canvas scheduler. So I'm just going to jump over into Canvas now, and we'll have a look at some of these features. So the Canvas scheduler, as I said, is part of the Canvas calendar. So in order to view it, I can click here over in the global navigation menu here. You'll see my calendar icon here. So I'm just going to click into that. So for those who aren't aware, this calendar icon here, it basically opens up the Canvas calendar for all of your modules. So you'll see over here on the right, you have all the different modules that you might be enrolled in, and you can sort of turn on and off the different modules so that only particular sessions or upcoming deadlines or anything like that will show up. So I'm only after selecting one of my modules there. So it just really focuses in on this particular topic or this particular subject. You can see that I've some items already appearing here in my calendar. So I've created a little event here called Office Hours. I have a deadline here of an assessment of project proposals. And then I have my weekly lectures here set up for every Monday at 10 a.m. So all of those are coming in there. What you'll also see here is a few different time slots here that have been created under Monday the 12th. Basically, what I've done is I've created time slots for office hours where what I want to do is I want to have students to sort of book themselves in for those particular time slots. There's a kind of an easy way to do it. If you think about this in terms of this scenario as say, if you wanted to have one-on-one feedback sessions, if we were on campus, you might have the student come to your office one by one and, you know, have it all kind of timetabled like that. But basically the scheduler allows you to do it quite easily on Canvas and allows the students to see when they're booked in and everything. So rather than, you know, creating a spreadsheet or anything like that with a schedule, you can open up these time slots and allow the students to book in for particular times. So I'm just going to show you how I did that earlier as well. So I'm just going to go up here to this plus icon up at the top of my calendar. And when I click on that, it gives me a few different options to add an event or an assignment or a to-do list. But what I'm going to do is click on appointment group. So here now is where I'm going to create my time slots for my particular session. So in this scenario now, I'm looking at creating time slots for one-to-one feedback sessions. So I'm just going to call it that. And I'm going to pick a date here. So I'm going to say Wednesday, 21st of October. And I'm going to put in a time range. So the time range is up to you, whatever, you know, based on your own availability. So I'm going to say that I'm available from 10 a.m. up to 1 p.m. And what the scheduler allows me to do quite easily is to break those time slots, that block of time up into individual time slots. So I'm going to divide this time range here into 15-minute time slots. And when I click on go, it generates all of those time slots there. If, say, for instance, you know that you want to take a coffee break or something like that, say between 11:30 and 11:45, all you need to do is just click X here and that'll remove it from the sessions. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put up a location. So I'm just going to say that this is online and I'm going to say there's a Zoom link for it. And I'm just going to click here on select calendars. So because this is the only one that I've clicked to view in my calendar, this is the one that's showing up for me now as my option. So this is my module calendar, and when I click on done, it'll add these time slots into that particular module calendar. So all my students that are enrolled in this module will be able to see these. What I can do as well is I can have students sign up in groups. So this might be useful for group projects, where you click on this and then you can choose your group category, but I'll go into more detail on that later when we have a look at groups. So I'll just turn this off now, and I'm going to limit each time slot to a certain amount of users. So I'm just going to say 1 user because these are one-to-one feedback sessions. If you wanted to do student presentations where you wanted to have a few students in each presentation, so say you wanted to have 5 students per time slot, here's where you'd kind of create the limit here. If you were adding more students per time slot, you could allow the students to see who signed up for time slots that are still available. So basically, if 3 people have signed up and there's 2 more spaces, the students will be able to see who's already signed up for that, that time slot. And then you can limit participants to attend 1 appointment. So I'm just going to say, well, look, if they choose 9, or sorry, if they choose 10 a.m., then that's their appointment done. They're not going to get an option to choose more. I'm just going to click on publish now. So this is creating all my sessions here for this particular time slot. Okay, so now say if I've said that I'm going to do this on Zoom. So what I would need to do is I would need to let the students know where they need to be accessing my one-to-one feedback session. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my dashboard and into that module itself. And I'm going to go up here into my Zoom link. So I have a session created already, the one-to-one feedback sessions. So I'm just going to click into this now so you can see the different settings that are available on it. So it's all quite typical with the standard settings that are available for Zoom within CIT. You'll notice that the waiting room is chosen by default. The waiting room comes in particularly useful for one-to-one feedback sessions because you don't have a student kind of dropping in at the end of another student's session. When they come to join with this Zoom link, they'll be put into the waiting room, so you can see that somebody is waiting, much like they would be waiting outside your office door or anything. And once you're finished with the current student, you let in the next student. So it works out quite handy in this sort of instance. So I think every other setting is okay there. I don't have it recorded automatically in the cloud because these are just kind of one-to-one sessions. They're not a lecture or anything like that. So I'm happy with all of that information there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight this join URL and click copy. And if I go back into my calendar here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add that URL into the information for these feedback sessions. So if I just click on any one of those there, and I click on edit, so I can just put in my description there. The join URL is here. Click on update, and then that attaches it then to the particular feedback session. So if a student is looking to book in, they'll be able to see the URL for that session there. Okay, so if I go back into my dashboard, go into my module, I'll go over this again afterwards, but I just want to show you from a student's view what they will see when they look at the information for this particular module. So I can see down here in my module summary that the feedback session at the time range has come up here from 10 until 1. So if I just jump into student view here, so I'm in my student view. I see that I've all my upcoming kind of meetings and all my upcoming deadlines. I see the feedback sessions here. I see that it's on from 10 until 1. So if I click on this, brings me to my calendar, and it shows me all of the available sessions for that particular day. I think I had actually tried to cancel that, but I mightn't have pressed the X properly on it. But it is, when you are setting up the sessions, all you have to do is click X to sort of take a break within the sessions, or delete one of those in particular. So my apologies for that. It was probably just it didn't set there where I clicked on it, but that would typically be the situation where you would just be able to knock off one of those sessions. So from a student's perspective, I can have a look at this. If I click on this session here, I can just click reserve, and that'll show up as reserved for me. So I'm booked in for that particular time for the one-on-one sessions. Okay, if I close this, actually, I'm just going to show you some other view of it. So if I just click on close under appointments, if I'm a student and I come into my calendar, I wouldn't typically see all of these appointment availabilities straight away. It just kind of shows me the regularly scheduled Zoom sessions and any other deadlines. But if I want to check to see when appointments are available, I can just click here under the Find Appointment button. I choose my module and click submit, and then that shows me the different sessions that are available. So just in case your students can't see any of the particular sessions, this is how they would do it here. But we're going to update our guides and everything like that on the TEL help docs. So we'll have all of this information as well in terms of screenshots and everything like that for your students to see. Okay, I'm just going to leave the student view now. That's the main point, I suppose, in terms of scheduling or using the Canvas scheduler. Just hopefully allows you to kind of organize your time a little bit more, maybe give you some options to sort of help you stay organized for the upcoming semester. I'm going to go back into my module now, and I'm just going to show you quickly I'm just kind of keeping an eye on the time as well. I'm just going to show you quickly how to create surveys or polls in order to gather feedback from your students. So as I said, this might typically be used if you want to have an ongoing poll throughout a week or throughout a semester and gather your feedback from your students based on that. To set up your survey or your poll, I'm kind of using the terminology, the same kind of terminology there as well, because it really is a matter of just choosing the question type to differentiate really between polls and surveys. So I click here under quizzes, and I'm just going to click to add a new quiz. And here I'm going to choose classic quizzes because this will give me the option, a few more options in terms of the surveys. So click submit. So a lot of you will probably be aware of how to create quizzes and things, so I can send you to extra guidance on that. But just, I suppose, to give you an example of how you would add the survey or the poll, if I'm just going to click, just call this survey 2, you can give it any description you want. Down here under quiz type is where it's important. If you put down graded or ungraded survey, the only difference here really is the students won't get graded. If you click on graded survey, they won't get graded on the particular answers, but they will get, you can sort of give them a grade for actually submitting the survey or taking part or anything like that. For this, I'm just going to click on ungraded survey because it's really just sort of gauging opinion on a particular item. I can keep the submissions anonymous if I want to give just a sort of a general poll. I can shuffle the answers or give a time limit. All of these are quite typical for your quizzes. I'm not going to allow multiple attempts. I just want to sort of get some feedback on a particular item, and then, we'll discuss it afterwards. So I'll leave that as it is. I don't want to let the students see their quiz responses again. It's just kind of getting quick feedback from them. And I'll show questions one at a time and lock them after answering. So all of these kind of options are available to you depending on what you want to do with your survey or with your poll. I'm going to give a due date as well. So say I'm going to do for next Wednesday. So I'll have them work away on the survey after they've maybe had a look at the lecture or had a look at the slides or anything like that. Up here under my questions, I'm going to click on a new question, and I'll just say question 1, and I'm just going to choose, if I want to do a poll, I'll be choosing true or false, and I'm just going to kind of phrase my question based on that. So you know, something along the lines of this, and if they agree or if they don't agree, they'll be able to give me their answer that way. If you wanted to, you know, depending on what kind of surveying you want to do of your students, you have all the options there in terms of creating multiple choice. So, you know, what do you think is the best county in Ireland, this kind of thing. And you'll be able to kind of gauge the student's opinion based on that. I'll show you one that I've created already, which will also show you how you can look at the results of those polls or surveys as well. You could ignore the points there as well, because this is ungraded. If your students are concerned about anything, or you think they might be concerned that it might be graded, I would suggest just writing it in the description. Or if you are directing your students to the survey through an announcement or something like that, just maybe reiterating that it is ungraded, just for their own peace of mind. Okay, I'm just going to click on Save and Publish here. And that's created my survey. Now, for most lectures, the quizzes menu item here might be hidden, just depending on the template that's been used, that's been rolled out for the upcoming semester. If you want to, you can, you know, if you use quizzes a lot and you want your students to be able to get access to the quizzes here, you can go into Settings and Navigation, and you can move your quizzes up to this sort of visible area here. So that's just a case of dragging and dropping. And that means that that menu link will be available to your students for this upcoming semester. The alternative, of course, is to click on Units, and you can add your survey to a unit here to guide your students to it. So if I just click on plus and click on quiz, I'll just find my survey 2 and add it here. So that's available for my students to find within the units here itself. So if I want to look at a poll that I've already created that I know students have submitted to, if I click on the poll here and I go up to survey statistics, that'll show me just a very quick overview of the sort of the opinions that the students have about particular questions that I've posed. So in terms of maybe some of the content that's been covered that week, you just get a very quick overview of what people's opinions are. So 2 people have answered this, and you can see it's quite split in terms of the opinions on that one. So it's, you know, as it's ungraded, you can kind of ignore a lot of the things, but it does show you a quite quick overview of sort of the feedback that you're getting from your students. Okay, so the last thing I want to show you just before we run out of time is groups within Canvas. So groups are very handy to be able to, particularly if your students are doing projects in your module, very handy just to organize the students. For your sake, if you want to assign an assessment to a particular group of students, or bits and pieces like that, but it is particularly useful for creating a sort of a collaborative space for the students within that group. Inside in your module. So particularly now when they can't meet face to face, that they can still collaborate in one area. And because you are the lecturer on the module, you'll be able to kind of drop into each of the home pages, maybe see how people are getting on, what discussions are going on, and maybe offer some advice to them as well. So it's good to get to have a bit of an oversight over the work that's being done. So in order to create your groups, you'll be going into this people section right here. By default, this people menu item is hidden from students, but I'll show you how the students can access their groups once we're finished here. So you can see the students that are available on this module. I've made everybody a teacher, so I've only 2 students to work with. But what you would be doing first of all is you'd be creating a category for your student group. So maybe for your module you only have one category of groups. So that would be maybe, like I was mentioning, if there was project groups in your module, maybe you have labs that have different kind of groupings of students. It's really up to you, but you just consider like your group set as your categories of groups. So if I just click on group set here, so I'm going to give this category a name. So I'm just going to say projects. You have a few options here. You have this self-sign-up link, which means that the students can actually assign themselves to particular groups themselves. The only thing to note with that, I suppose, is that if they sign up to a group, they can actually kind of hop between groups if they want to. So it really depends on how you want the group set up. So if the students are putting themselves into their own groups for a project or anything like that, maybe that's suitable for you. But sometimes it's just easier to kind of create them manually. So this is what I'm going to do for this this particular group. Under group structure, I'll just keep that as create groups manually. You can automatically split students into a certain amount of groups. So this is something that will be done by Canvas itself. If you select that you want put all your students into 5 groups, or split students into groups of 4 students per group or anything like that. All of those are available to you. If your module is cross-listed, you'll be able to ensure that maybe your group members come from the same section or the same CRN. So if that applies to you, that's the option you need there. You can automatically assign a student group leader, or you can do it manually. There isn't a huge difference between a group leader and just a group member. Can't remember exactly what they can do. I think they can kind of change the name of something, the group itself or something like that. But really there isn't a huge difference. It might be something that you want to do if you have if you use group leaders in a face-to-face context, where you have, you give the group something to do, and then you ask one of the members of the group to actually summarize the things that have been discussed or anything like that. So maybe you want to do it that way, but there really isn't a huge amount of difference between a group leader and a group member. I'm just going to click here again on create groups manually, because I'm going to do, like I said, create them manually there. So I'm just going to click on save here. So what it gives me the option to do here is to assign students into particular groups. Now, I have no groups created at the moment. So if I just click on plus group here, I can give it a name. So I can say, what you could do is you could give it like, if they are doing projects and if they have names for their projects, you can name the group that one as well. Or you can just do group ABC or anything like that. I've no membership limit to it because I'm going to do it manually. So I'm just going to leave that as it is and just click on save. So if I wanted a second group, I just do the same thing here. And then to add students to those particular groups, I can just drag them across here. And you'll see that they get added there. So I'm just going to add both students to that particular group. In terms of the student homepage that I was talking about, where they can collaborate on their projects, if you go here into group A and click on these 3 dots here, you'll see visit group homepage. So this is now a dedicated space for this particular group. You can create an announcement here that will only go to these particular group members. You don't have units and you don't have a Zoom link here, but if you did want to create a Zoom session with just this particular group, you could create a kind of a recurring meeting or something like that, where you don't have any fixed time, so it doesn't get added to the calendar. And then you can just copy and paste the join URL here in an announcement or anything if you want to discuss anything just with this group. You can also use conferences as well. So conferences is available for this semester. So you can create, so Big Blue Button, you can create a kind of a live session with that. But the students will be able to kind of see each other here, even if the people menu is hidden in your main module. They will be able to see each other here, but they'll also be able to use the discussion forum, they'll be able to share files, and they'll be able to use pages. So they'll be able to create their own pages here and collaborate on those that way, like a kind of a wiki or anything like that. As I said, they don't have units, but you could use the file section or the pages to share content with the groups themselves. Okay, so I'm just going to jump back here because I want to show you the student view, how they would access the groups, because as I said, if the people menu item is hidden there, you'd be wondering how they can actually access it. So I think, okay, so I'm not going to use the student view because this is just a generic student, so it wouldn't show me the actual group sections. So I'm just going to jump back into my presentation here because I have some screenshots. So we discussed the Canvas scheduler and how the student would find the time slots available. So they click on appointments and then they'd reserve their time slot. In terms of the polls, we had a look at that. Now, when we're looking at the groups, if I'm logged in as a student, so this is one student that belongs to the groups, if I log into the module, I'll see over here this new title area over here called module groups. And within that, any of the groups that I'm assigned to within this module will show up here as links. If I click on group one here, this link, it'll bring me to the group one homepage. So that's where I can do all the collaboration with all the members of my group. When a student has been added to a group in any module in Canvas, they'll also get this group's menu item over here on the left in the global navigation menu. So when they click on that, they'll be able to access the groups for any of the modules that they're enrolled on in Canvas. So if they're in a group in every single module they're enrolled in, when they click on this, they'll have all the list of the groups there and they can access it through that link. This menu link is available to staff and students no matter where they are in Canvas, so they will be able to jump into their groups no matter where they are within Canvas. On mobile devices, we actually just got a question about this yesterday evening. How do students see their groups when they're in the student app? So when you log in on your dashboard, you'll see groups here. And there's a link to the particular groups that you're assigned to down here, so you can click straight in to those there. Okay, that's we're just at time there, so that's all I wanted to cover. As usual, if you're looking for any more supports on any of the topics that were covered here, Canvas 24/7 support by phone, email, or in the help icon within Canvas. So they're available. They are a bit busy at the moment as well, just with all the colleges and everything going, starting back up their semesters. But we have found that the web chat tool, which is available in the help menu, or the phone support are particularly effective and have very quick response times at the moment. As usual as well, if you have any, so this is for any kind of questions related to Canvas or Big Blue Button. So this would be Canvas Tier 1 support. You have ourselves in the TEL department at tel.team@cit.ie. So if there's any questions you have now that you're kind of mulling over, or feel free to ask them now, of course, in Zoom or else in YouTube, and I'll try to answer them. But if anything comes up afterwards, you can just email us there at TEL Team. For any other kind of IT services related things, so login access or anything like that, or if you need any support in terms of like MS Teams or anything, that would be servicedesk@cit.ie. As always, our site as well, we have some resources on remote teaching and remote learning. We've training videos, links to training videos, and we also have our help docs. So we're constantly adding to this. And particularly if anything comes up in terms of tickets or anything like that, we'll add to this as soon as possible. So if you have any questions, I'll just wait a couple of minutes there, but otherwise do feel free to get on to us afterwards. Okay, it's looking like we've nothing, but as I said, you can feel free to email us after it as well. Many thanks for attending, and I hope you found it useful. Thanks, bye.